Please go to the diary room.
Every single season and learn everything that there is to know about everybody.
Please make your way to the diary room.
Celebrity, Randy.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Diary Room, a Big Brother podcast where we are trying to find the best player in North American Big Brother history, and we have a long ways to go until we do so, but every episode counts. I am Matt. I'm here with Aman. Aman, what's up?
Hello, hello, hello. We are back to rate these bitches, banish these bitches, and make bitches mad. So I'm excited to be here.
Somebody's watching too much Traders with the banish on the mind.
Yes.
Banish
You
them
are
right out of here.
banished.
Well, we have another great guest here with us to complete today's version of this project. Somebody who, believe it or not, may be more chaotic than Aman can be on any given day. And that is from Survivor 42, Omar Zaheer. Omar, how are you?
I'm good. How dare you? I'm not that chaotic, or will I? We'll see. We'll see. But this might be the podcast that I've seen that has the best graphics so far.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Everyone else
Well,
needs to up their game.
Ooh.
I did see, I think you were doing a little dance in the background when the intro was playing.
That wheel, like, my God.
The wheel is all we have.
Yeah, I want to be on that
Make the
wheel.
most out of it.
You know, I wanted to talk about this earlier today, and I forgot until Omar just reminded me. I feel like we should make merch. I feel like we should make like a mug or something. With
Make a
little
mug.
wheel. Yeah.
Or a wheel. It's right there.
I think people would buy that. I think
A hubcap.
would be into that. Yeah, a hubcap.
Is that where do we get there? How do we get there from our fun intro with a wheel? Just the wheel in general?
Yeah.
I think that someone would buy a diary room mug that had the logo on one side and the wheel on the other side. I would buy it.
Or one of those caps with the little spinny thing.
You know,
Maybe. I don't want Robin Akiva to come after us for making wheel merch. I know. I mean, we're not the only wheel in the block, but
Yeah,
we'll figure all that
this
out.
wheel more advanced? I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know.
Let us know in the
No way
comments.
to
Do
know.
you want a diary room mug?
Anyway, Omar, welcome to the show. So excited to have you here. Your name is not on the wheel, as you are, in fact, a Survivor player.
Right.
But like, we could start with that. Do you have any desire to play Big Brother, or did you ever?
So when I love Big Brother, so I watched in season 2. And I will say that it was a lot better than it is now on the TV product side of things. But when Big Brother Canada came out, I obviously was like, perhaps that's where I need to go. But I always just held out hope for Survivor. And then lo and behold, that happened. But I even DM'd Arissa Cox at one point and I said, can I apply to Big Brother Canada now that I've done this? And she was like, hell yeah, do it. But I never did. And now it's too late.
Now it's too late. We certainly hope one day it's not too late anymore, but at this moment in time,
I thought it would be really fun if Big Brother Canada had a twist where they put in Marianne and I as intruders. Like, that would have been crazy.
The world would not be ready.
No.
I think there definitely needs to be a lot more Big Brother and Survivor crossover. I think it's really only happened twice, right?
Caleb and Suri. I mean, if you go for
one, 3 times then. Caleb, Suri, and Hayden.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it was mostly the other way.
Right.
You and Marianne are very BB Can coded. Like, I can see that so clearly.
I would nominate her for the lols. I would nominate her, win the veto, and take her off. Although I think on BB Can you can't win the veto.
You can't win if you're HOH lately. Yeah. But I'd absolutely see you going into, like, you know how they would BB Can would always have the the short list. You go into the room and put the short list up, and you would put her on every single short list, even if you weren't going to nominate her. Be like, I'm thinking about nominating Marianne because I just never know if I can trust her.
Yeah. Nominate her, win the veto, and take her off is criminal. Crazy.
You know, it is insane to me sometimes that I think back to Survivor 42 and I'm like, Omar did play a good game of Survivor. And then everything that I've encountered since then would lead me to not believe that to be the case.
Yeah, you know what? We all have many faces, and the survivor face was very well behaved.
Yes. The Big Brother face does not sound like it would be
No.
so much.
Now, what do you think do you do if you go back? Do you, allow your little evil side to come out a little bit more on the on your second try?
Well, I think that my evil side was on display the first time. It was just more like what's that
Controlled.
it wasn't chaotic evil. It was
Neutral, good.
neutral evil, maybe.
Yeah,
Or
or
good,
whatever,
evil
positive,
good, maybe,
something like
possibly.
that.
And then GGD is chaotic evil, which I think is more Big Brother coded. A return to Survivor, I don't know. You just kind of hope you don't get voted out early after that kind of performance.
I'm always impressed that you still show up to Goose Goose Duck, even though you end up dying first, like in most rounds of the game, and then you're just sitting in dead chat. Well, you must be having some sort of fun.
It's his kink, okay? He likes
Not
the dead chat.
That would be you on Big Brother Canada, just like waiting to get evicted week 1 or 2, just to hope that there's like the secret room that you go in and then get a chance to come back in the game. And if you don't,
No, I'm not playing
happens.
that. What's that girl's name that got evicted first from BB Can?
Which is
Laura.
No, she was like her thing was being a MILF.
There's Risha.
Yes,
Risha.
where she tried to battle back in, and I'm not playing that game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, I don't know. Do you win HOH first anymore? Who's to say?
That's a good question. We don't talk a whole lot of like active strategy on here, but like a very
I
valid
thought
question.
that was the point of this.
I do think that it is sort of shifting back to it not being a good idea. It was not a good idea in the beginning, and then the meta kind of changed to it being a good idea because you can really garner a lot of, you can build your own alliances from the ground up if you're the first person in power. But now I feel like a lot of people realize how much power there is in being in the first HOH. And now they're back to being like, get the first bitch out of here. So it's interesting. I'll be interested to see what happens for BB27.
We've just seen a lot of bad.
Good first HOH was Rachel, not Riley. I mean, she was iconic, but BB6 Rachel, I thought she was a blueprint for how to play your first HOH.
Rachel, yes.
Not Rachel Swindler.
What is it? I feel like she puts up Kaser week 1, which of course proves to not be a nomination she's going to stick with going forward.
She got no heat on her for it. Everyone was like, we still love Rachel,
Rachel, a round 2 contestant. Funny enough, Rachel beat Kaser to go to round 2.
Oh, that's crazy. But I mean, she's great, but like, that's crazy.
I agree. I voted for Kaser to go through, but
I say Kaser made one of the best moves of all time, even if he didn't end up winning, because he flipped a 9-3 minority to a 6-6 in a way that was never expected. And it was incredible TV and a good move. And I think that is actually the blueprint for how most people should play any strategic game, because he used people's motivations and relationships and pin them into
Why
a position.
could you have been on that motherfucking episode?
Omar, you're 37 episodes too late to help get Kaser through to the next round.
I could have used that.
Just goes to show any given guest on any given day can affect the outcome of the bracket. Kaser could still be in it, and I will say, Kaser did have an opportunity to get voted back into the competition, but he lost that vote against Haley Brocker from Big Brother 20. So
well, she shouldn't have lost her first round either. So
she lost to Danny Donato.
Yeah,
Danny Briones.
That was a bit of a tough one. So
it's tough around here.
Wait, what was Danny Donato's favorite saying? She always said the same thing over and over again, crying and whining. It's not fair.
No, what was it? It was no, this is gonna bother me if I don't remember. She did have a catchphrase.
She did have a catchphrase.
All I can think of right now is her ridiculous conversation with Rachel.
Justice for Jen Johnson.
Google's saying honestly. She did say honestly a lot.
That's not ringing true to me though.
She had something.
Something. I can't remember what it is.
We'll get to it eventually, but Danny was again, Danny and Haley, the first ever matchup of this podcast. I think again 37 something episodes ago. So quite the journey you've been on.
She was on the books to be on the show a little programming note, little
We
T.
tried.
Hopefully, we were very close, but you know, she
For
got
Danny or
engaged.
Haley?
For Haley.
Yeah.
She got engaged, and then that kind of her priorities had to shift, which is completely understandable. But I'm still holding out a candle for you, sis.
We'll try
Maybe
again
one
some
day.
point. I mean, she's
Yeah.
on to round 2 now, so we'll see.
Mhm.
But let's take it a step back. Omar, you were kind of already touching on some of your Big Brother history. The early seasons on both BBUS and BB Can are the ones that you were hardcore all in on.
Yeah, I loved Big Brother 2. Dr. Will owned the game. Actually, as a child, I think that I hated Chilltown. And then I grew to kind of like Will, but I was like, oh, we have to root for these you know, the good people, Nicole and Hardy. And I'm like, in hindsight, I'm like, that was stupid as hell. And by the end of the season, obviously, Will deserved to win. And, you know, his game held up much better. BB3, you know, we loved Danielle and Jason. BB4 was a bunch of awful people.
Well, we stay in June.
Yeah, June is great and has become really cool, but she was not a nice person at the time. And I was a child looking for nice people.
Were you watching feeds? Did you say that?
Did I
Or just
watch
the
feeds?
episodes?
No, I was too young. So I watched the
Okay.
episodes and I would read about it on Survivor Sucks,
Mhm.
what was going on in the house. And it was not very nice. And then BB5, though, that was the first season where I like loved the people on it. You know, when they
Who did
took
you love on
down-
BB5?
I
mean, I
loved.
can name a couple people, but
Okay, well, who do you think I liked?
I'm gonna guess, or actually no. So now I can think of who the average person would be rooting for, but then I have to think of who Omar would be rooting
Yeah,
for.
exactly.
Don't tell me you were like a 4 Horsemen boy.
No, I loved when they got overthrown. I thought that was so iconic.
Okay,
Jace
so
was fun TV though, but Scott
Karen,
was like completely
Nokomis.
unlikable.
Yeah,
I loved Nokomis. I loved
Karen, Will, Diane.
I loved Karen. I loved Diane. I loved you know who I really liked was Lori. So that was my BB crush, but she
Your
got
2
voted out.
weeks of having Lori in the house.
Yeah, that was sad.
Yeah.
And I thought Holly was an iconic character.
It's Holly. It's Holly. It's Holly.
Let me put you in touch with my friend Brian Scally.
There's only one survivor. I mean, Big Brother Holly, I'll acknowledge. And
Bye, Beth.
Holly King. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it was just a great strategy season, I thought. And then, you know, the fact that Drew won was kind of like, and Cowboy was kind of, but he was great TV too. The fact that they put in those long, that was crazy. That they put in 2 long lost siblings like that.
Yeah.
How did they even do that?
Yeah. There, we haven't pulled Nokomis yet. We have pulled Cowboy. Cowboy is in the next round of this bracket so far. Just to, you know, anybody that hasn't binged, I don't know. But whenever we do get to Nokomis, I feel like we really need to sit down for a minute with like the thought of what they did there and looking back on it all these years later, because having recently rewatched it and I combed a little bit through some of the feeds, like the way that she was reacting, especially towards the end game of like trying to process what she was going through, like real life stuff of what she was going through with this person that was just introduced to her on a television show in that house. Holy cow.
Yeah, her and Karen robbed, but you know, that was Diane's fault.
Reality TV was really like the Wild West.
It was crazy.
Perception. Like they didn't give a damn. They would put you in there with like
was your
meet this person who murdered your aunt 10 years ago.
And BB6 was my favorite season of all time. I still think it holds up as the best season of all time. And it was just so messy. That was really, you know, BB5 to BB7 was really the era where I was more into Big Brother than I was Survivor, which was rare, but I was so into it. And then petered off a little bit at basically season 12. I thought that season 12, like the peak was 5 to 7, but I still loved it 8 to 11. 12 I found to be incredibly boring.
Even with Rachel and Brendan and Brittany, and
it just was a steamroll. I found that to be incredible. That is my biggest pet peeve, a Big Brother steamroll, because a Pagangi on Big Brother is insufferable because it's 3 times a week for 3 months instead of
7. Yeah, it's just
instead of 5 weeks in a row. Like it was absolutely insufferable. And it was
the characters though. I will say, like, if we're talking about Pagongings, I will say that I agree with you, Matt, in the sense that like it was still entertaining because of the people that had to be pagonged. Like you have your Reagans, you have your Rachel, you have your Brittany, whereas BB Can 7 is just like
Duds.
end it
Yeah.
already, please. Just end it.
That is actually the pagonging, the prolonged pagonging got even worse BB16 onwards because it was a supersized cast.
Yeah.
And so I hated BB16. I thought it was horrible. And I
Well, so
actually
that's
had
a
to quit
production.
watching All Stars and BB23 after week 3, both of them, because I was like, I see where this is going and it's boring. And then I came back for BB24 because it wasn't a pagonging. And here we are.
Okay. Fair.
Yeah, 12. I certainly get the criticism, and I'd probably have been feeling the same watching. But I, especially on a rewatch, just like love to revisit the drama and chaos, especially of the pre-jury portion of the
Holds up
season.
on a highlight reel more than watching 30
The day to
episodes.
day.
Production needs to do what they did with bringing Rachel back in after she had
Mhm.
already been evicted, Pandora's
Yeah.
box. Like they need to bring that back in times where it's needed. When you have like a first jury member go out, I don't know, like even like if you think of like an 18, like let Avon hang out in the house for an hour or a day
Yeah.
and just like
Well,
talk
it's
to
because
people.
they knew Rachel was the last, and Brittany, very entertaining in the diary room, horrible game player on BB12,
Ooh.
and was so frustrating to watch that play out that they had to bring back Rachel because otherwise, what were these other people doing? They were so boring.
What about BB Ken? Any favorites over there?
So BB Can was a unique experience because it always aired, I think, during vet school for me, so it was very busy during the year, and that was always exam season, so I uniquely watched Big Brother Canada in a way that I never watched any other Survivor or Big Brother, in that I would binge watch it after it was over. So I binge watched season 1 through probably 4 or 5 or 4 maybe, and then 5 is when I started watching live, and I actually didn't enjoy that experience as much as I did on the binge. Yeah.
Almost
I was obsessed with it.
identical trajectory for me. I was late to BB Can, so I had no choice but to binge BB Can 1.
Same.
BB Can 2, I didn't really have. I wasn't well versed in like how to get the shit illegally back then, so I just waited for it to be done. BB Can 3, I was like, oh, I can kind of follow the episodes as they air because I knew how to do that, but also exam season, so I kind of just waited for it to be done. BB Can 4, I kind of followed, but then I just did not like BB Can 4 too much, so I kind of fell off. I returned to it later.
Amon recently evicted Cassandra from the bracket.
That's crazy. That's insane.
So we had JP Jordan Parhar on as a guest for that episode, and I think we've probably mentioned it every episode since. JP voted to evict Cassandra as well because it was in favor of Johnny, who was the guy who went out before him on BB Can 3. They're good friends, and he was like, I'm going to throw Johnny a vote. And then Amon said, I'm also going to throw Johnny a vote. I'm going to evict Cassandra.
That's crazy, Amon. You after the Kaser thing, you've lost your righteousness here. Crazy.
Yeah, but this kind of thing feeds him. It makes him hungrier to do it again. So I should
guess
stop.
It really doesn't. I have certain okay proclivities, and I'm going to follow through with them. I'm not going to bend to the pressure of the public. Okay.
Well, Cassandra is a big Survivor fan, and she messaged me and said, if you ever come to BC, you let me know and we'll meet up for lunch or something. So.
Cassandra, I'm sure, is a lovely person. I'm sure she is great. And she follows me on Twitter. Okay, for what it's worth. But like,
not much.
I didn't feel like she was given what needed to be gave for me.
After our last episode with Rob, there was a matchup that was Christmas versus Eric from Big Brother 3. Lisa's boyfriend, Eric.
Yeah.
Well, do you know how you would have voted in that? Christmas versus
Eric.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Rob and Amon voted for Christmas. And again, everyone's allowed their vote, but I still did pick on Amon for it after the podcast was over. And Amon was ready to defend it. I was about to press record again because he was fired up, ready to defend Christmas Abbott.
I'm just saying, like, she had 2 showings and she did well in both showings. Is she
in the most insufferable way?
Of course. Does she have a grating personality? Yes. But do you necessarily always have to have a good personality to win Big Brother? No, that was never a rule in Big Brother. There have been some horrible ass winners of Big Brother, but they played a game. They played a winning game for that season, and she played a game that got her to 3rd place, and she played a game that got her to 4th place. She is a better player than Eric, who was gone in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean,
I really still heavily.
It's an unfortunate truth, but it's painful nonetheless.
It's very painful. You are talking to Davon is my favorite player of all time. Okay, and if I could swallow that to vote Christmas through, that's not without me considering all options here. Okay, but I just couldn't do it over Eric. There are some other players that I would have done it for, but not Eric.
So let's find out who's going to come up today on Omar's wheel. A very jam-packed wheel.
A true wheel of chaos. Let's go.
A true wheel of chaos fitting for Mr. Chaos here. And again, combined with the two of you on the call together, I know you agreed on one and maybe disagreed on another that we've talked about so far, but I'm still pretty scared for what's to come today. So
I really want this on a hubcap.
Somebody will be looking at that on this show like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and then I hope they don't get into an accident. It's a little distracting.
Let's get going here. Let's find out the first player of today's episode. We got BB Can, we got BBUS.
Who's it gonna be?
Jen Johnson.
Oh, stop. People are gonna be so jealous of you. BB14.
Joe Arvin.
Chef Joe. Yes. Chef Joe and G.
What are we cooking?
All right.
Beef with what's his face? Yeah, Willie. I can't remember his name.
Omar, what would you do if you were on Survivor and somebody was in the shelter sleeping next to you talking about you to your face?
Is that what happened with Joe? Is that what led to the Willie fight?
No. This is later in the season. There's a scene of him in one bed and Dan Giesling in the next bed. And he turns to Dan in the dark and says something like, does he say we have to get Dan, or Dan told me this, or something Dan
memory unlocked.
This is
Dan says, this is Dan.
I wish somebody had done that. I wish that was Marianne's playbook, because then I would have known. So, I want more Joe Arvins on Survivor. That's what I want. But Chef Joe, he is a game changer. He invented the strategy of really provoking someone into violence and getting them to self-evict. We've seen so many people try that, but Joe Arvin is the one that pulled that off. So,
yeah, truly.
Yeah, definitely intentional.
Yes, definitely. Was he the last one from Janelle's team before leaving?
I thought it was one of the. I can't remember. Let me be the blurb. Will let us know.
Yeah,
Ashley. There was Ashley, Joe, and Will. So I think he was the last one.
Was Joe?
Joe was the last one. Yeah, if that was the team.
Wait, was Will and Janelle? Why did I think Will was with Brittany?
Yeah, Will was Janelle.
Oh.
Well, he certainly
Will
didn't
with one L, Janelle with two.
Damn, Janelle got sniped. Jesus.
Yeah, what a great team.
Alrighty then. Joe was a member of Team Janelle. Mostly remembered for his altercation with Willie, which led to Willie being ejected and for being used as a pawn throughout the season. Ultimately, his downfall came during the double eviction when Dan's original target, Ian, won the POV, and Dan decided to target Joe as his backup target. He would be evicted by a vote of 3-0, placing 6th.
Not all 6th place are created equal. That's all I have to say about this.
Chef Joe, let's first of all, before we even talk about Joe, Omar, BB14 not doing so hot in the bracket so far.
I'm not surprised. It's very top heavy season.
We've gotten a good amount of the players so far. Joe coming off the list puts us at only 5 players left to be pulled. Kara, Willie, Jojo, Will with one L, Frank, Gen City, Shane, all evicted already from this bracket.
Yeah.
Only Danielle and Ian have won their matchup to go through, and Janelle has not won her matchup, but she did get voted back in.
Gotcha.
To go to round 2. So Chef Joe, a lot riding on you for your season here. You really got to pull up the slack. pick up the slack.
Yeah, I mean Danielle making it through is crazy, but nevertheless, Joe, what is there to say about Joe? I think this was a very top-heavy season, and that's why I didn't enjoy it that much because I felt like there was a lot of just filler, and
Yeah.
Joe was certainly one of those. Although he did a public service, and then who knew he lasted 60 more days after that? But I think he's going to have to pull some really. The wheel is going to have to be very lucky for Joe to make it past this, I think.
Yeah. I mean, Joe, I think that he was an interesting character. He always had crazy stories to tell in the house. I think that's
Was
part
that
of the
more
reason.
feeds than the show?
Definitely more feeds. Definitely more
Yeah,
feeds
I
in the
don't
show.
remember him.
And he, but quite. I mean, I remember like one of the things that he would try to do, because for the most part he was kind of like just a non-entity in this game. But one thing that he would always do is like walk like around from like women's room being like, we need to get together and form a big alliance against everybody else. But he would say that to everybody, so it was like, sir. I don't
Poor
know.
thing. What do we think he's doing today?
Probably cooking.
Hopefully chefing it up somewhere.
Yeah. That's got to be a job that just you're always employed, right?
You know what he should have done is really the June song strategy of be in the kitchen and listen and shut up and then, take it all in and make people happy with food.
I mean, he tried to an extent. Like my memory of him is more that the alliances in the house, specifically like a Quack Pack, were using him as like an additional number quite often. And so he wasn't in their alliance. He wasn't in an alliance with Frank, especially in the beginning of the season. But like by necessity, at some point, the two of them ended up in tandem. And just by necessity of needing his vote, again, the Quack Pack members just kind of pulled him in, made him feel like he was a part of things, but he never was. He never had any agency for his own game. Didn't even win, a single HOH or veto to help himself along, gaining power and, kind of move things in the right direction for himself. Of course, anytime that we talk about a season with players that played with returnees, especially the likes of like a Dan Giesling, it's like, you kind of look at it a little bit differently, but there were still players in Big Brother 14 that were doing a little bit more for themselves than Joe was or was able to. And when you think of like the interaction again with Joe and Dan, the one that stands out is that one of him talking to Dan in the bedroom about Dan, and it's great comedy. It's a great Big Brother scene. I will never forget it, even if I can't retell it very well.
Did he also was Willie on Big Brother after Brandon Hance was on twice? Because if so, Joe ended the Hance reign of terror on reality TV.
I think that's correct timeline wise, but one of the other Hanses did make their way back to Australian Survivor, so not quite an end to the reign.
I guess I don't really count that.
Chef Joe doesn't have the ultimate power to put that.
He doesn't have global power, but in America,
I will say, if anybody's looking for the Hanses, actually, no, I didn't see Willie, but I have seen the other two Hanses that played Survivor doing some TikTok lives together. If you're really looking for what they're up to these days,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, are we gonna Issa look this? Because what is he doing with his arms?
Yeah.
Cowboy thing going on where you put your thumbs in your pockets,
But like, why is his arm so
only one thumb
is
in a pocket?
It's kind of weird. I don't know.
It does kind of look like he's leaning backwards.
Hey, they've been making him do weird things in these photo shoots and in these intro videos. So
yeah, that's
you
true.
think they should have put him in a chef hat?
Yes, they should have. That's exactly. You know what? He should have worn a chef hat the whole time in the diary room. That would have upped his character.
Or like a white shirt that like
points.
shows chefness. I don't know.
Yeah.
Chefness.
He looks like he would be a Nickelback fan too.
What's wrong with being a Nickelback fan?
There's nothing. I mean, it's the thing I hate about myself the most.
I am not amongst brethren.
I just feel like my hot take when I was growing up was like, there's nothing that wrong with Nickelback.
No, I agree, but it's like shameful,
Sure. Well, Chef Joe.
Nickelback extraordinaire.
Putting that on him. And you know what? It just kind of feels like it fits. All right, let's find Chef Joe an opponent.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Certainly intrigued to see what kind of matchup really could get him through to the next round, because I'm sure there's one out there.
Oh, yeah.
There's got to be somebody on this wheel that Chef Joe is a more trustworthy Big Brother player than a little bit better.
I mean, he had like some floater elements to his game, so it wasn't all bad.
Let's see.
Oh,
Is
I'm
it
trying to
going to
read it,
be
but I
James
James
Ryan?
Rhine,
Ooh.
interesting. James Wine, as they called him on the internet back in the day.
Ooh.
Look at me.
Honestly, don't know
I
if
am
I've heard that.
harmed. I am
I am
harmed.
harmed.
That's every podcast listener when Amon makes his vote.
Cry about it.
I'm glad we got some BB6 up in here.
Yeah, old school players have not been, really popping up around here
Mhm.
lately. We've gotten a couple recently, but it's not all the time. But this is certainly a big one here. We're talking about Kaser a little bit earlier. Here is his co-cast member, whatever, co-house guest for both seasons. that he
Wait, this is
competed on
also,
back
I
in the
just
day.
put this together now, but James Rhine, seventh place. James Clement, seventh place. Is this a
Oh,
thing for James
your
that
Survivor
returned
facts.
to the show?
But then James Hewling was like what, seventh place,
Third
third
place.
place.
So that doesn't track.
Oh, I forgot about James Hewling.
And Crazy James from BB9 just hasn't played again. So just
You changed. You're getting mine. That's all I think about when I think about. He was insane.
Let's talk James Rhine, who is the player that we pulled here today. Again, a 2-time player, 1-time All-Star. He was harmed at one point in his Big Brother career. And that's not the 2 times that he was evicted, but that is how his game went. Omar, what are your memories of watching James Rhine play in real time?
Yeah, so James, famous Republican James.
Oh.
I actually really enjoyed watching him on the show. I thought that he was he started out kind of villainous, and he was kind of like the villain under, Cappy's thumb a little bit, but you knew if he was given a reason to flip by the King Kaser, who incentivized him to flip on that alliance, that he was going to do it because he was a self-interested player. And I think he was, he couldn't cross that line from individual, like the way the Big Brother 6 was shaping out was very much a team sport, as we saw the culty friendship and then the opposition to that. But James couldn't really get out of that individual mindset, which kind of tripped him up when the other side would win power, and that really started the domino effect. But he was a great underdog. The fact that one of the best moments of that season was him winning the Pinata veto, because everybody wanted him out and they didn't have their strategies coordinated. It's one of the best competitions I think they've ever had, and partially because of the outcome. And he really earned himself a place as an all-star. He was like the cockroach that would never die. And it was very frustrating to see the rest of the Sovereign Six continue to target him instead of work with him, even though it would have been in their best interest. And then that kind of dynamic carried over into All Stars, where he very quickly turned on them, which I don't think was in his best interest. But he wanted to align with the traitor herself, Danielle, one of the other best players of all time. And so I think he had a good run. Obviously, he was less likable the second time, a little bit whiny, but a great character and player overall, I think.
Yeah, I can agree with that. As far as his blurb is concerned, James, BB6, James entered the house as Sarah's boyfriend, an initial member of the Sovereign Six. James was betrayed by them in week 5 after a rival friendship member, Maggie, convinced then HOH Howie to nominate him and Sarah. Sarah would be evicted. A massive comp threat. James would win 4 different POVs during the season, breaking the record for the most POV wins at the time. However, this obvious capacity to win would lead to him to getting backdoored in week 8 by a vote of 4-0, placing 7th. Now in BB7, he was a part of the Sovereign Six again during their initial continuous HOH wins, but after Janelle's decision not to nominate Shelltown member Will during week 4, James betrayed the alliance and became a part of the Legion of Doom, along with Will, Mike, and his closest ally, Danielle. That is so early 2000s, like Legion of Doom, get out of here. He was nominated and evicted during the second round of the double eviction in 3-1 vote. He once again placed 7th. James formerly held the record for the most POV wins with 4 in BB6, but the record would be broken by Janelle the following season when she won 5.
Which he probably really grinded his gears.
Mhm.
But also
Mhm.
crazy, I forgot that he was so mad that Janelle didn't nominate Chilltown and proceeded to form a counter alliance with Chilltown. Like make sense,
Mhm.
James.
The villain origin story of it all.
His 2-season arc is super interesting, especially like how it surrounds himself with the same players that he played with on both seasons. Because like when you look at Big Brother 6, he comes in like not that group doesn't form immediately. Obviously, it takes a little bit of time to kind of come together, and especially James's role in it because I feel like was a very smart, perceptive player in both seasons, and was kind of like doing his best to work all angles of the house. I don't know if the term floater fits for him necessarily. I wasn't watching live, but I feel like in my rewatching and like reading up on what's happened that season, that kind of feels like what he was doing early on. And of course, as you mentioned in the blurb, Amon, he had Sarah in the house, his girlfriend at the time. So he's like trying to find a way for both of them to fit into the plans of the week, into the power structure in the house. We know how that goes, how he ends up putting him up, things get shaken up there. And that's just like really an indicator of how it's going to be with him and these people that he's going to be in this alliance with for the rest of that season and going into the next one as well. It's just like, for some reason, like they do convince each other that they can trust each other, and they do. They work together well at times, but there's also so many times where the trust is just not there. And when he obviously feels like he doesn't want to work with them, they feel like they don't want to work with him. Him and Janelle could not get on the same page a lot in Big Brother 7. And it was just, really a matter of who's going to take the shot first.
Exactly.
I mean, Chilltown gets by in the way that they do, of course, by the effectiveness of both of their gameplays, but also by the fact that BB6, while a perceived strong group, Janelle, James, Howie, there was plenty of divisions in there that just you needed to wait for the right moment to crack it wide open, and of course, eventually it does.
Yeah, no, I think that's all fair. I think it literally. I think both of his seasons were sort of like this strategy of mutually assured destruction. Is like if you go after me, I'm gonna go after you, and then it's just like walking around on eggshells between alleged alliance members turn enemies, back into alliance members turn enemies again, and whoever strikes first, which I don't think is necessarily a great position to be in. But it's a consistent one, at least. I mean, 7th place twice in a row is like,
not bad,
not horrible, but like, is he ever winning a season? No. And I think his physical prowess sort of preceded him, and I think that's kind of all she wrote when it came to James. But I think that he was a fun character in the DRs and one of the most sarcastic people that we've seen on the show. Fun. He was fun for the show, but not the best player. But is he better than
Chef Joe?
He's like the player that I like constantly go back to when I think of players who are good at Big Brother and have skills for the game, but are just always going to stand out as a big target. And that you need to get them out from day one. Essentially, like when he was doing
schemey. It's too obviously schemey.
Yes. Like there's no hiding what he's doing. Like you need to be that Dr. Will level of like smooth with people in order to have them not see or not care at times about how slimy you're being. And James did not have that. He wasn't, there were plenty of people that he was able to kind of win over, and whether it was like temporarily work with or just kind of like have a good back and forth with at times. But just in the long run, I do feel like he could go all the way to like 7th, 6th, 5th place every time he plays, but he's always going to be a big target that people always know they need to get out. And I don't really know how he avoids that.
Yeah.
I just feel sometimes his core instincts are always wrong of what to do. Like he has skills, but then he'll like make the wrong decision at many points in the game. Like, why are you turning on your whole alliance that you just formed with the Sovereign Six before the veto even? Why are you giving them the ammo? Because it ended up being that Sarah won that veto and he took himself off and he just shut his mouth until the veto happened. Then, they wouldn't have turned on him.
Yeah, the whole scorched earth approach is not
it.
Not it.
Yeah.
But the question, as you proposed, Amon, is James Rhine a better Big Brother player than Chef
Oh,
Joe?
hell yeah. This ain't no damn conversation to be
Yeah, it's
had.
not even close. I
Bye,
vote for Big
Joe.
Joe.
Bye, Joe.
Quickest vote in Diary Room history, coming at you.
Go make
All
me
right.
some shrimp scampi. Maybe I'll consider bringing you back in.
Wow. Well, unfortunately, Big Brother 14 is taking another hit here as Chef Joe evicted from the bracket, or should I
Is
say,
that your vote
headbutted.
as well?
Yeah, that's my vote as well.
Unanimous.
3-0 vote for James Rhine to go through to the next round. Easier path for him than his fellow season 6 competitors. Janelle lost a matchup, had to get voted back in. Kaser lost a matchup, did not get voted back in.
I would
James could
put
be-
James even in the top 50 Big Brother players, or maybe 75. Like, he's pretty good. But
I mean, he's the original veto king. You know,
Mhm.
that's got to count for something. So
yeah,
Counts for something. And I don't know that Howie's going to, outshine James when it comes to the long run of this podcast. So could be James's, torch to carry for that group.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our second match of the day.
I'm hoping for Howie versus Busto here. Let's go.
All right, back to the wheel for another matchup here. Kickoff matchup number 2. Let's see who the first player up is going to be.
Who's it gonna be? Who shall
The suspense is killing me.
We're going to go BB17.
Liz. Oh no, how am I going to tell them apart?
Well, this is the one that finished in
Thickums.
second place.
yes. Yeah,
So we'll start
Julia
with
was
that.
the side character, so this is fine.
Julia was sort of the side character.
On the
unfortunately.
feeds as well.
I would say so.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of Liz and Austin on the feeds, and
Was it
And by
Julia
virtue
or-
of the fact that Liz was the first person to enter the house.
Yes.
You know.
But was it Julia or Liz that was the one that really messed up that veto with the bowling
That was
ball?
Julia.
That was Julia.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. All right.
And this is Liz. And alongside Julia, these two challenge legends. Not quite, but they did compete on a season of the challenge.
Oh yeah, I
And-
forgot about it. They got out like first, though, right?
Julia was out. Liz was out first. Julia was partnered with CT, and they made it like a month into the season,
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah,
something like that. But we're here to talk about their run on Big Brother. Amon, what do our notes say from BB Wiki?
Liz entered the house as part of the twin twist along with her sister Julia. After Liz confided in Vanessa, Liz joined the dominant The Sixth Sense Alliance. After Austin leaked that they were twins to Jason, Liz was targeted by the opposing alliance. Liz then decided to play an under-the-radar game, aligning with Austin and Julia to form the Oz twins. Ugh, I hate that name. They, along with other allies, continued to dominate the game, and all 3 of them got to the final 6. After Steve won HOH, he targeted the trio. Liz found herself nominated alongside her twin, but Liz survived. She was blindsided after Vanessa stabbed Austin in the back and evicted him with no shoes. On finale night, Liz was able to make it to the final 2 and lost a jury vote by a vote of 6-3.
Big Brother 17 and the story about sorry, Amon, but the Oz twins will always be interesting to me. I feel like we've probably talked about this. Austin came up not too long ago and did advance to the next round. But the story of the 3 of them and the fact that they did not emerge victorious on the entire season is insane, because when you are watching from like the beginning of jury even, and you're like, this is a group of 3 that if you want to bring Vanessa into that, call it 4. They had Johnny Mac to an extent. They had Steve to an extent. By all intents and like they were looking like the dominant group that were going to have no way of losing the season. And all of a sudden, down goes Julia, down goes Austin, and now Liz is in the end game with a bunch of other people that are not those 2 people. And like you just said, she does not get the votes up against Steve in the jury vote, and that's the story.
That's what you really think? Is that like it was set up for Liz or Julia to really win or take this?
Well, when you say set up for, I don't think that like Big Brother was like intending for that.
Well,
to
no.
be the case, but-
No, I mean, I know what you meant. I was just kind of paraphrasing it in that way.
I mean, a block of 3 when you're down to the final 9. Yeah, I think that they're in a great spot.
With
I mean,
Vanessa being who she is. though?
Well, that's a factor that you couldn't have predicted at the time of watching the game. At least I couldn't have. I knew that Vanessa was a wild force in the game, but I'm still thinking she's with them. I don't know.
Vanessa was chaotic.
I mean, granted, I have. Sorry, go ahead.
I just think that Vanessa was so chaos. Like Vanessa was like if I was on GGD, but it worked.
If Omar won every game of that, yeah.
I mean, I do have I did just recently rewatch this season, so I think I have a lot more like in my mind of what I've remembered and looking back on live feeds and stuff like that. But in my mind, it was always bring them along because they're a powerful voting block. But in the end, come on, one of them's going to have to go. And Vanessa was Vanessa never really fully 100% trusted Austin after that initial lie that he told her in like week 3. And so by extension, I think that Aus twins were always going to be in the crosshairs once they got down to those, once, numbers started to dwindle. So when it comes to Liz, do I think that she's better at the game than her sister?
Yes.
I think that she was a lot more involved in a lot of the conversations regarding the Sixth Sense. I think that she sort of was a lot more even keeled in having conversations with Vanessa. If you if you are in this position in that house where Vanessa is comfortable with you, that is the most powerful position to be in because that lady don't trust nobody. Okay. Mm-hmm. And if she's not coming for you, you can sit back and hopefully somebody else takes Vanessa out. And that is exactly what happened. Now, was that really Liz's doing? No, that's just Steve being good at the game and taking out Vanessa when you need to. But I do think that Liz was good at sort of managing her threat level, even though she'd won a few competitions. I think that, having her sister in front of her as a shield, as barbaric as they might sound, was effective. And also having Austin in front of her as a shield is very effective. So I think she was always probably going to be the one, in my opinion, to make it the furthest out of any of them, provided Austin doesn't win out physically. And I think that she played a pretty decent game. It's just always going to pale in comparison to the absolute frenetic majesty of Vanessa Russo. So that's kind of my take on it.
Omar, what do you think about Liz?
I feel like Liz was not that memorable in the long-standing history of Big Brother. I think she was probably like a solid B+, like slightly she did enough stuff to position herself well, but I feel like she was also positioned the best within her alliance. Obviously she's in a showmance with Austin and her sister is Julia, and they're both working towards a trio to make it to the end, which benefits her the most out of everybody. But how much was that by design versus, it just kind of happened and she benefited from it? I mean, you can't say she's completely passive, but I'm not sure it was like an engineered strategy either. She definitely had some competition wings to back herself up, and she did a lot of things right, but I'm not sure how much she drove the game versus rode the wave. And so that's why I give her a B+.
I mean, it's to Amon's point of just like her sister and Austin to an extent recognized that Vanessa was going to drive the game for them, and all they had to do was jump in the back seat and like go along for it. Because while they all participated in conversations, and I mean, look, Liz walked away with 3 HOH wins. That's insane. And if you want to take it all the way back to the beginning of the game when they're switching back and forth, and it doesn't go as smoothly as it does for Natalie and Adria all the way back in Big Brother 5, they are called out. They are exposed, or in a sense, and to the point where it has to come out before they can both even enter the house. And Liz and Julia are concurrently playing as Liz and Julia when only one of them is still in the house at a time.
I forgot who figured that out.
Liz is a damn twin.
Davon. That's crazy.
Davon was on it first, and then it just snowballed. And eventually
Davon told Jason, and then Jason was like, girls, listen. Like, he told the whole damn house.
That was one of my favorite twists of all time, and the way they revealed it, like it was just so epic on Big Brother 5 that I was so excited they brought it back. But obviously, it didn't have the
It was
cachet it had the first time.
I thought it was really interesting though when they do reveal it. Like when she, I don't know if it was Liz or Julia in the house at the time, but when whoever it was confirms it to like Austin and then Vanessa and then I think Shelly and Clay as well, like they're like they all gather up in the HOH room and they're like, "I'm Julia," and it's like, "What? Oh my god!" And like that was cool. Like that was a worthwhile payoff.
I think it was Julia. I think Julia was the one. Oh wait, no, what? Oh, I just watched this. I feel like it was Julia that was in the house when that happened, and then they were like so excited because they all met Liz first, so they were so excited to bring Liz back in and be like, "Oh my god, like we're good, like we're gonna take care of your sister." No, it was Liz. It was Liz first, because then they brought in Julia and they were like, "Oh, so you're the other one."
Right.
So how did Austin not know they were twins?
He was completely oblivious. He had no fucking clue.
Meanwhile,
he
was crushing
like
on
crushing
one of
on
them, or both of them.
Yes, he was thinking. Well, he did say he was like there was like sometimes like you would be so nice to me, and then other times you'd be so cold. I didn't know what was going on. He just thought it was just girls being girls. But
well, which is interesting because there was also the element of like he had a girlfriend going into the season, and so Liz / Julia knew about that. So Liz at first is playing up like, "No, I'm not gonna flirt with you because you have a girlfriend," and then eventually, you know, when the guard gets let down and there's two of us, don't flirt with both of us. Then eventually, obviously, they enter full showman's mode. And then we can talk about that as well of like how they have their falling out towards the end game, and they like break up essentially before Austin leaves the house, but then they get back together before Austin leaves the house, and it's just there's a lot going on. But as far as her Big Brother game itself is concerned, again, I do think that she really gave a lot of control over to Vanessa, and I don't think she had no age. Like I feel like the B+ that Omar said is pretty fair. It's
maybe
just like
just
there's enough there, but
like I just think
flat B too.
Yeah, she just I think but like both of her, like 2 out of the 3 HOHs of hers were in accordance with whatever her core alliance wanted to was going to happen, which by extension benefits her because there's no reason to go against the alliance that is saying that they're going to protect you and your sister. And like, yes, like having the twin sis isn't necessarily something that she did. She just lucked out that some producer was like, let's have twins in the house this season. And so now you have a girl that's never going to, you have a twin that's never going to go against you, you have a boyfriend that's never going to go against you. Like, the only HOH that was completely out of her control but not entirely was the one with Austin going home, but she got blindsided like hell by Vanessa there. And I would say that like not fostering the same relationships that Austin would is kind of a detriment to her game. Like I feel like if she had been a lot more instrumental in reaching outside of her alliance, she probably could have maybe had a stronger case in the end to win.
Yeah.
But having your twin sister there and a boyfriend there, like I'm not gonna be talking to nobody else. Like
right. And like they effectively take out like the Jackies and Becky's, but there's no relationship there. So when it comes down to it, it's like, I'm not giving you my jury vote. We barely talked at all in the house. Meanwhile, Steve was pretty, liked. So
and then the only people that ended up voting for her are the boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she still voted for him.
Say again?
Yeah.
Steve hated Becky, didn't he?
Steve and Becky did not get along.
But Becky voted for him to win.
It did feel rather one-sided though.
Yeah, no, the only votes Liz got were her sister and her boyfriend, and that's
and Vanessa.
Crazy.
Oh, Vanessa too?
Because Vanessa was still a little icy about Steve.
Yeah.
Right.
But like Becky, that's crazy because Steve hated Becky for no reason out of nowhere. That was great. That was a good side plot.
And I can't wait to talk about Steve whenever he comes up, but like, the balls that it takes. I know, going up against Vanessa is not the ideal situation, but the balls it takes to take someone to the end, knowing they have 2 to 3 votes locked up and you're fighting for all the rest of them instead of those 2 to 3.
Yeah. I mean, true. But at the same time, it's like, girl, you knew you wasn't going to be Vanessa. That was
it's not worth the risk by any means, but still, like, again, locked in votes for Liz. Anyway, let's pull the wheel up.
Yeah,
obviously,
I think it's really good go either way.
Yeah,
she needs a good draw, but I think if she's solidly in the middle, half are going to be good, better, and half are going to be worse.
Now, there's no world this could be Julia, right?
That'd be crazy.
If it is, I kind
All
of
right.
already
Up
said what I would
next is going to be Big Brother Canada
Dallas.
4. Dallas. Big Brother Canada 4 and
Wait,
5.
big 4 and 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
2-time Big Brother Canada player. Dallas. Dally. I
Dally.
was hoping we'd get some BB Can, considering it's like half of your wheel. So,
And where you
true.
come from.
Yeah.
and where you come from. All right, let's talk 2-time Big Brother Canada player, Dallas. I will say, again, it did not go so well for Dallas's BB Can 4 and 5 ally, Cassandra. But maybe Dallas will do better.
Dallas. On BB Can 4, Dallas began the game aligned with Maddie after a failed attempt to play both sides. Dallas began to openly go after the third wheel alliance, specifically Jared. Dallas's game began to crumble after Maddie backdoored Levita, which caused Dallas to lose trust in Maddie as she then brought up Dallas's name to Tim as a target the next week. Dallas was nominated alongside Maddie the next week, and a fight between Tim and Nikki caused Nikki to switch her vote, evicting Dallas by a vote of 5-3. On BB Can 5, Dallas became an early target due to his sporadic behavior. Dallas originally aligned with Dylan. However, after realizing his best chance of staying was the campaign against him, Dallas openly proclaimed Dylan as his future target. Dallas was left nominated against Emily during week 2, evicted by a vote of 12-0.
He really wanted to make a Godfrey moment there, didn't he?
Yeah. He was like calling Dylan like a knuckle dragger and all sorts of stuff. I was like, oh my God. Like, this is crazy.
It was especially interesting because he had just seen Dimitri's do it the week prior. Dimitri's was trying to do the same thing of like, let me call out Dylan, make Dylan my target so everybody keeps me thinking they know who I'm going after.
Yeah.
And Dallas took that, made it worse, and then did that himself, again, being the returning player in the house.
Now that I think about it, BB Can 5 was really the season of blow-ups after a nomination ceremony or a POV ceremony.
Yeah.
If it wasn't Dallas, it was Dimitri's or Mark. If it wasn't them, it was Ika yelling at Kevin. If it wasn't Ika, it was Dre yelling at Dylan. Like, it was always something going on.
And you wonder why I say it's my favorite season of Big Brother.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And that double eviction, my God. But Dallas, I don't, I loved BB Can 4 and 5, and seeing his placements, I can see why I didn't remember that much about him.
Yeah, it doesn't go great. He is not really good at finding a way out of obviously the first couple of weeks, which is pretty self-explanatory if you're looking at the chart here. He does finish in 13th and 15th place. He's just
but it's like he hears he's on the chopping block and then grabs the shovel and starts digging the grave.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah. He has no real ability to certainly no ability to lay low, but definitely no ability to, once the pressure is applied, to find any way to ease himself back into things and make deals with the HOH. And I think to BB Can 4, and I think it's the week that he goes out. I think it's on Tim's HOH. Amon probably just said this, but it's where Tim is doing his gummy bear thing. Mm-hmm. He's asking everybody to put however many gummy bears on who you would nominate that week. Mm-hmm. So I think you had 5 gummy bears. You could give 3 to Kelsey and 2 to the brothers or something like that. Mm-hmm. Distribute your gummy bears however you want. If you chose not to participate, he would put all 5 gummy bears on you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Dallas chose not to participate, got all 5 gummy bears. I think Tim already wanted to nominate Dallas, but that made it a lot easier because I do think by the end of it, he had the highest number of gummy bears, ends up on the block and ends up going home. So it's like, that is a fully self-inflicted wound. It's like he might have already had the most gummy bears without his 5, but to put yourself in the line of fire like that really just tells you everything that you need to know about how he navigated both seasons.
Yeah. It was, where I'll give him a little bit of grace is that he did kind of get screwed over by someone he thought was going to be loyal to him. But then you had this whole Maddie, Jared, Kelsey sort of love triangle thing where Maddie was jealous of Kelsey because Jared was giving her more attention, but Maddie still wanted to be in Jared's good graces. And so she's throwing anyone under the bus that's going after Jared. So it's kind of you can't really control that kind of thing. Should you maybe see what's going on a little bit more, maybe like sort of like try to navigate that a little better. Yes, but I'll give him a little bit of credit for that. I do think, outright, refusing to play Tim's game, while I understand it, because it's like, bitch, if you're gonna be HOH, then just make your fucking nominations and like let's get. But I'm not doing this little gummy bear thing. Like, this is stupid. This is not Big Brother. That's not how it's played.
But that's how Big BB UK is played, right? Or BB Australia.
It's like like Tim was coming in here to shake shit up and make things as un-Canadian as possible. Okay. And so you kind of just have to roll with the punches. Like, at the end of the day, it is a social game. You have to sort of adhere to the new social norm of the house, which with Tim being in power, that's what it is. With the Tim administration, it's all about gummy bears. Okay. So yes, I agree with you there, Matt. I was shocked that they asked him back for BB Can 5.
But he was a fairly big character the first time, no?
That's what it was. It's straight up a character pick. They had their strategist. They didn't I'm sure they tried to get like a Mitch from that season. They didn't need him though.
And
they
Mitch
just
turned it down. They also tried to get Joel. Joel also turned it down. They also tried to get Ramsey. Ramsey also turned it down. So they were not trying to go for Dallas in the beginning. But that being said, I was glad that that it did trickle down to him, because I was sort of like very pro Dallas being so anti-Tim gummy bear things. I was like,
right,
while you should not have done that, maybe I agreed with him wholeheartedly. Like, that's not how this game should be played. What are we doing? And so I think he can get a second chance was kind of cool.
I feel like he left BB Can 4 and people were like, oh, I guess, it'd be fun to see what he could have done with more. Like, their potential was there, but it didn't really work out. And then BB Can 5 kind of was like, okay, I guess we kind of saw how that couldn't.
I'm not mad that he was on 5, especially because with all the vets, you got to sacrifice a vet. It's like on traders, you got to sacrifice a trader to make everybody else happy. So they had to sacrifice a vet to make everybody else happy. And I was like, of all the vets here, take Dallas.
Yep.
It's
a little downhill after that, though. I think it was a little downhill after he left, though, right? Like, wasn't the next one Cassandra?
Well, it depends on who you are, if that was downhill for you. Anyway,
the week 1 to 5 immunity, though, really was not a good twist for your girl Netta.
No, it was not. And you can find other shows at the moment to see Netta play her game in a better way. But it's rough.
When this wheel, I cannot wait.
It's really rough for Dallas in season 5. Obviously, it's rough for Cassandra as well, who's going to go out the week after him. But and the same thing that I said about Cass when she came up a couple weeks ago, these were the two newest in, and they're the first out, first last in, first out type of deal. This group of vets, I definitely envisioned talking before the season or planning to work together at least once they all saw each other in the house. And Dallas just can go to a party or something like that and meet up with them before the season. If that happened, I'm just purely speculating, but it's not going to be enough to get past the connections that they'd made for years before that. So
yeah, definitely.
It's a rough draw for him there, but BB Can 4, not that much more impressive. I also think back to like the first couple weeks in that season where he won a veto on the week that Cass and Christine were on the block together. And I think like he had really wanted to use it and make a move and take one of those two off the block who could have been potential allies for him, but he doesn't, which I remember feeling like was a mistake because you want to work with both of these people, save one of them, do something. Right. And he did not. And,
that's one of my biggest Big Brother pet peeves is when people are too afraid to use the veto.
Yeah.
I'd be using the veto all the time, especially if I want HOH.
All the time. Just use that veto.
I mean, you just said that you would nominate Marianne.
And I meant
it. I'm also reminding myself in my notes that he lied about his week 1 vote for Kelsey to go. And there was a lot of speculation about who that vote was, but he ends up admitting it, which, at that point, you just got to sell it.
He's like Michael Scott.
So that didn't go well. And also the first thing that we see of him on BB Can 4 is him farting in a jar because Tim told him to do it and then gives it to Cassandra to open up.
I forgot about the Tim was a fucking menace, yo.
That's so funny.
Dallas versus Liz. Omar, what's the rating of Dallas's game?
I think it's probably like a C minus.
Does that
Maybe a
indicate where you're
C.
thinking about going with your vote?
So, I mean, I guess it depends, right? Like, I think that Dallas had maybe some higher highs, maybe some lower lows, but Liz was just like a solid, like average player. But I think if you have to go with who was better, I think it's obviously Liz in this situation. I don't think it's quite remarkable. I think she got a good draw here, but it's got to be Liz.
Yeah, plenty of non-remarkable players advancing to the next round. So sometimes, it happens. But I think I'm going to have to agree. I think Dallas just through 2 seasons, we did not see enough to justify him being better than somebody who went all the way to the end game, had plenty of allies, had plenty of good relationships, even if she had some not so good relationships. That'll trip her up in, later rounds or a different matchup other than this one. But Dallas didn't save the people that he could have saved to work with, then, refuses to participate in a game that could have saved his big brother life. Maybe not, maybe yes, but you got to at least try. And then just falls flat on his face in BB Can 5 as well. So there's really not a whole lot to cling on to here. So it is official, but Aman, would you have also been making the same vote?
Yeah, I mean, Dallas just he's a little bit too bombastic of a player, and while it can be very entertaining, he really fizzled out in BB Can 5.
But Liz lost 6-3. But you know what? People nowadays would kill to get those 3 votes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't a complete blowout on Steve's part. And again, like, I do think if she had made a few alterations to her game, if she had just been a little bit more friendly with other people, if she weren't so insular, if she had been a little bit more strategy forward, I think, there was a way. And another thing is that she, during the questioning from the jury, she really didn't do a good job with a lot of her answers. Whereas Steve was out here being like, "No, I did this, and this, and that's why I'm here." And so
she was like the less likable version of Portia.
Sure,
I love Portia.
Not about that one.
Yeah.
I'm doing math over here, by the way, and Dallas times 2 plus 2 equals Liz days played.
Wow, interesting.
Dallas is 48 days of
it's
Big
crazy.
Brother
He was, like the second out and the 5th out or whatever, and like still played twice as many days as anyone on Survivor nowadays.
That's another topic for another day, but I'd be happy to have the conversation because yeah. All right. Well, let's find out who is going to be our topics of discussion for the final round of the day. So let's get
spin that hubcap.
That's what we're gonna get. That's gonna be the merch. Diary room hubcaps.
Like a
Cars
CD,
separately.
like a vinyl.
Up first, holy shit.
What is it?
Oh
dear God!
It was one tick away from Danielle Reyes.
Oh man,
one away.
We were robbed. Instead, we got this.
I'm pretty sure if I can read these small names, but Gina Marie. Omar, this is like the perfect wheel for you. These chaotic names that have come up are just right up your alley.
Okay, so Gina Marie, the one good thing I'll say about Gina Marie is during Survivor 42, they posted a preview of Jonathan and I's friendship on the CBS Instagram page, and Gina Marie commented, "I love these two."
Oh.
That's the only good thing I can say about her. I think what we saw on the show, again, I did follow the feed somewhat that season. Not a good person.
Yeah.
You don't say. So we have gone through a lot of the Big Brother 15 cast members to this point. And somehow we're not done. But Gina Marie in particular. Aman, did you do the blurb yet?
I haven't, but I can.
Please do.
All right. Gina Marie quickly aligned herself with Aaron, and they became infamous for their mean girl acts, including comments that were racist and insensitive. Gina Marie was often made fun of for her inability to pronounce certain words because of her New York accent and for her strange obsession with fellow house guest Nick. She also often fought with many other house guests during the season, most notably with Amanda and Candace. After Aaron's eviction, Gina Marie joined the Exterminators, which allowed her to survive until the final two, where she lost in the final vote of 7-2 against Andy. I love how most of this is about her behavior and then the one strategic thing that she did that entire season.
Who voted for her to win again? Was it Aaron?
Aaron and who didn't vote for Andy?
Let me look it up.
Was it Amanda? No, it wasn't Amanda. There was no way it was
Couldn't
Amanda.
have been Amanda.
Who
You
the
guys
fuck
check on
voted
that. I feel like it's very
Spencer.
interesting.
Oh no, never mind.
I feel like it's very interesting to blame her lack of getting words right on her New York accent.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's a crazy thing to say.
I don't believe that was the issue there, but you know,
Oh, Judd and Aaron.
Okay.
That tracks.
Look here. Okay. This might surprise a few folks. I believe. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to go down that road. Never mind. I look. When it comes to Gina Marie, this again, there are certain things that are just permanently etched into my brain. I can't really get rid of the scene of her yelling at Candace saying, "Do you want the black to come out?"
Yeah.
I can't.
And doubling down. Not even
doubling down on it. Talking about how like no one wants you, not even your own mother. At least my mom likes me, not like yours.
Yeah.
Just all sorts of just nastiness. Do people have the capacity for change? Yes, I will not begrudge people on that fact. I think that people can grow and be better human beings, and I, honest to God, hope that she has. I really do. I don't want people to remain horrible people, but there was a lot of nasty shit that came out of her mouth, and it was just, it's hard to divorce her from that. But I will say, I think that forming the Exterminators in the end game, getting this campaign against Amanda to get her out of the house, was definitely something that was ran a lot by Gina Marie. It was fueled by Andy playing both sides of the house. So that had Andy not have been a soldier for her in that moment, it wasn't going to happen. But at the same time, she was very instrumental in flipping the script in the end game, and it did get her to the final two. So I do think that there is that's great, but everything else about her game.
But I think also she was so unlikable because of the things that she was saying that people weren't threatened by her. Like they just wanted her to. I think that she had a pass in the end game because nobody wanted to waste, as Howie would say, no one wants to waste an HOH week on her.
Mm-hmm.
You give that credit to her at that end game. I feel like I give like 99% of it to Andy, Spencer, and
I think again, it doesn't happen without Andy. So like, I don't want people to think that I'm saying that it's all her, but I think that she was already on that path of which a lot of people were. They were like, Amanda, you gotta go.
Yeah.
And so I like, because her and Amanda were sometimes like in cahoots a lot of the time. So in order, again, the cutthroatness that you do need to have in this game, I will say she does possess that. So I will give her that, but that's kind of all that I can give her.
My core memories of this were not really that. My core memories were that she was kind of dragged along and easily manipulated by other people, and she made a lot of her decisions based on emotion of who she did or didn't like.
Yes.
And so I'm having a hard time reconciling this possible mastermind Gina Marie, but also I don't necessarily want to believe that either, given what we saw. So I don't know.
No, it's definitely not mastermind.
That's calling her a mastermind.
It's just she has like her eras of the game. The first era of just like being obsessed over Nick in the weeks when he was in the house and then when he wasn't in the house. And that snowballs into the her and Aaron portion of the game, which of course started in that early couple of weeks. So then she's stuck by Aaron's side throughout the entire middle of the game, which is when all of that nastiness really is at the forefront. The fact that she is the one to get Candace evicted is so hard to take, along with everything else that happens there. And then, of course, you get to the end game and you have the exterminators, which again, I credit. I mean, when I say 99% to Andy, I mean like 98% to Andy, 1% to anybody else in the exterminators that wasn't Gina Marie. So it's like, did she have the ability to recognize, yes, this is a good group for me to work with? Yes. Erin is my friend and she'll be loyal to me. Like, certainly like some instincts were there within the game, but we can never forget that Big Brother is a social game where the way that you treat people in the game and the way that you are as a human being is what reflects on you in the final two, where somebody is going to cast their vote to give you, at the time, $500,000. And it just, even if she did not have the issues speaking as she did, or as she does, that wouldn't have made a difference. Her final two speech is historic levels of cringe. And Andy knew what he was, setting himself up for, not just with somebody who wasn't going to be able to articulate their game very well, but somebody who did not have the game that he did. So again, he knew what he was doing with that, and obviously all for good reason. But even without that, she just would not have been able to get any kind of love in the jury outside of anything that she did get. It was never going to go her way. Like, maybe if you say Gina Marie, Aaron would have won that still. Like,
I give her a
if
D+.
you put like the two horrible people there, I don't know.
Yeah. She was so racist. It was insane. It was insane. Some of the stuff that came out of her mouth on feet. She dropped the N-bomb multiple times.
Did she? Oh, I don't remember that. That's well, it doesn't surprise me.
It was
Stop looking at the screen.
It's so bad, guys. Like, and so like when I think about like all of the people, and not to get all about the casting of Big Brother, I really don't want to be on a soapbox for too long, but I'll just say, like, when people talk about their grievances with the new casting measures, I'm like, y'all don't remember how bad some of these seasons were. Like, it was bad, so bad, and BB15 is a big reason why. So
BB15 was like the I guess the pinnacle of that, but it was occurring a lot before then too.
Yes.
And like I still remember Erica being like, geez, fresh off the boat mother,fucker.
Yes.
And it's just casually aired on TV with no consequence and just said, and that was normal.
That is the nail on the head, is that it was so normal. I think that people forget it because it's like, and even people of color were so used to it that it's like, you hear it and you're like, wow, that's crazy. But you're just so used to no one giving a shit that it's just like, but now finally people were like, okay, no. And so I'm just so glad that we are steadily growing further and further and further away from that place. But yeah, woo! I don't really know.
And racism is bad gameplay. Just so
you could say that. You certainly could attribute it to bad gameplay.
This is going to be an uphill battle for GM.
It sure is.
I think I would have put Joe Arvin above her. Joe would have made it.
Oh, sure.
If he got pulled with Gina Marie.
It's a very interesting type of wheel spin when you are about to spin the wheel and just land on one lucky person that is likely just flying through to the next round.
What if it's Aaron?
Well, let's
if it's
find
a
out.
First boot, we'll tackle.
Aaron's already been evicted, so it's
Jody.
This would be the spot for Jody. Let's see. Don't think it's going to be Jody, but instead we're going to get BB Can 4.
Ramsey. I'd already talked about him before too. Interesting.
All right.
Okay, well.
Congratulations.
Look, this was the exact type of person that you're looking for, of like, who needs an easy pass into the next round? This is a person who did not even get to finish his game.
Exactly. Interesting statistic is that neither Gina Marie or Ramsey were evicted.
That's true.
So, which
there's the facts.
Unevicted game is better. And I think we know which one, but I can read the blurb.
Please do.
nonetheless, as soon as I find it, I had to scroll all the way back down to BB Can. Okay, here we go. Ramsey began the game closely aligned with Paige, Maddie, and Dallas as they attempted to oppose the Third Wheel Alliance, although the group was blindsided at Paige's early eviction. So was Paige. Ramsey decided to lay low as Maddie and Dallas were viewed as bigger threats than him. After Nick and Phil won HOH, they nominated Maddie and Ramsey. Despite Ramsey winning the POV, he received urgent news from his mother about how his father had a heart attack and was entering emergency surgery. Ramsey decided to walk from the game to be with his father.
Fair enough.
I like when I get to vouch for players that I've met on here and just tell you that Ramsey is like one of the nicest guys, nicest
He's
reality
also
TV
very
people.
tall. Like,
Very
taller than most
tall,
on the show.
very handsome.
Ooh.
A lot of factors going into Ramsey here.
Okay.
But like you said, Amon, getting evicted, not one of those factors.
No.
You just explained, the circumstances in case anybody, didn't watch BB Can 4. Ramsey does end up leaving the game on his own decision because of the situation going on with his dad back home. But up until that point in the game, this may not be a tough matchup for him, but if we're going to get into the game, it's not like he was playing the most active game. It's not like he was, in control of the house. Him and his ally, Maddie, were really in like a middle spot, and they probably would have needed a lot more comp wins through the rest of the game to have it be effective for them. But you're looking at a guy here in Ramsey who was just extremely liked and social. And if he got evicted, it would have straight up just been because he is a threat in the game and not because of any wrongdoings he did along the way, as far as my memory serves. Omar, do you have any stronger memories of Ramsey?
I feel like there wasn't that much game that we saw there, but it was, I don't think we saw a lot of game from Gina Marie, but he just wasn't racist, So I think that is, he automatically has a higher chance to win in that sense. But I think we really didn't get to see what he could have done. I don't think he would have won. But if he made it to the end, I think he would have had a higher chance to win than Gina Marie. So
yeah,
very much.
I think he's one of those he was very likable. Everybody, no one really had a bad word to say about him. Which the scene where he had to leave and how everyone was just so. I mean, I feel like most people would comfort someone in that position, but you could really just tell how his castmates really, really just had so much love for him. Yeah. I think that he was just sort of in that position where he is able to sort of like have relatively good relationships with everybody, but he never really got in deep with the optimal group, which was, Nick and Phil and Maddie, or excuse me, Jared and Kelsey. And so therefore, they're cool with him until they see that he's also hanging out with Levita and Maddie, and just like it's Maddie, who also was like more than liked him, like really wanted something to happen between the two of them. And so he's just sort of like guilty by association. But I would like to believe that after winning that veto, there really was a chance for him to reintegrate. I really want to believe that. We'll never really know.
Yeah, that was the most brutal part, that he won the veto that week when he was up on the block. And, not only is he trying to make this decision of does he stay or not, he wins the veto. Like, he literally has the power in his hands to take himself off and continue in the game. But
I can't remember, was the eviction canceled or did they get to nominate someone else?
Maddie went home still. Maddie stayed on the block. I think it was
Tim.
He
couldn't have saved her with the veto and then went home.
Yeah. No, I think
Maddie said something like in the DR about it too, which was kind of like not cool considering why Ramsey had to leave. If I'm not mistaken, that take that with a grain of salt. I might be misremembering, but I feel like Maddie said something like, "What the like? I can't have the veto," like something like that. Like,
yeah, Ramsey was left on day 52, and Maddie was evicted 4 days later. So there was no triple eviction though this season, right? I guess that's what probably would have happened otherwise.
Yeah, gotcha.
So, yeah, again, a very nice guy. Don't know that he would have won a good percentage of matchups, probably because of the fact that we just didn't get a full complete game from him. But like, I mean, in comparison, very nice guy, very social, won some comps. The unknown versus Gina Marie.
Yeah, I think I vote to evict Gina Marie.
Yeah. I'm gonna go into the unknown.
Let him live this time, you know.
All right. So it sounds like another 3-0 vote here, which I really wasn't expecting. Again, I saw the two people that I'm on a call with at the moment, and I said this is going to get chaotic, but the picks were chaotic rather
You
than
know,
the,
yeah. If it had been the right situation, we would have just voted against you out of spite.
I imagine so.
Yeah.
Like trying to think of like any other combinations of these wheel spins that could have been more intriguing and more head
like who's your
scratchy
hottest take on who you would ride for?
in general.
Yeah.
Oh, tough question. I mean, I just tried pretty hard in the last episode to get Eric from Big Brother 3 to the next round, but that didn't work.
But that was less about him and more about Christmas, right?
I will say that I am probably actually, you know what? Nope, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to give it away, and I don't want the audience that bench against me to do something crazy. So never mind.
I will say this won't come as a surprise to anybody, but there's a lot of BB Can players that I'm going to be riding for when they come up. I just will always attest to the strength in gameplay from a lot of players on BB Can.
I think BB Can, especially, I think they have better casting in the later seasons anyways, because a lot of those people come to play, you know, and it's not a steamroll, and there is a back and forth, and I think that's much more interesting than a lot of these American Big Brother seasons, which ended up in a summer-long pagonging. And I also think that actually having a large number of people is detrimental to the game, because it makes it a lot harder to have a power flip, because you're going to be going against, like, if you have 16 people and 12 can be safe working together, it's a lot harder to flip on that than it is when their numbers are like between 12 and 14, I would say, like total.
Especially when they're like constructing twists that specifically help those 12 people.
Yes.
Time to time.
Very stupid.
But, you know, both shows have their pitfalls, but their twists. So with all that said, let's rehash what we did here today. Starting from the most recent matchup that did see Big Brother Canada 4's Ramsey make his way through to the next round. Dallas in the second matchup was evicted and is not moving on to the next round. But I'll tell you that Ramsey is joining Kelsey and Mitch on his way to the second round. Dallas joins Paige, Christine, and Cassandra, currently evicted. But who knows? By the time this comes out, maybe Cassandra's already been voted back in.
I can only hope.
We're still a little ahead of schedule recording these. But again, Dallas was evicted in favor of BB17 runner-up Liz Nolan going through. Big Brother 6's James, Big Brother 6 and 7, James Rhine advanced to the next round as well, while Chef Joe cooked his last meal here.
Not that.
In the diary room.
Not the last meal.
He is out of the running. Omar, you feel good about what we did today?
I do. And I think that we did some good work here today.
We
definitely
got rid of some players in Big Brother history.
And started a merch line.
Yes, we did. Expect them hubcaps and mugs coming to you soon.
Yeah, maybe.
Dunce caps.
Omar, any final thoughts?
No.
Any aspect of Big Brother that you want to get off your chest?
No, I wanted to, I really loved Big Brother in the single digit seasons, like, so much. And I don't think we'll ever get back to that. But in some ways, we shouldn't get back to some of that.
Well, you were just talking about some reasons why maybe we...
Yes, but it was a different time, not in terms of the racism, but in terms of like reality TV. And it was a ride at the time, and it was so novel, and the game was evolving so much. And now it's like the game has evolved to meta optimize more boring gameplay that is more successful. Whereas
Mhm.
back then, like it was just the wild, wild west. And I thought that was great.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
yeah.
I'm
I
sorry you
think
couldn't get more players from old school seasons, but at least James popped his
yeah,
head
let's
up.
got James.
Yeah, we
I
got
think
James.
I think I do sort of miss the unfiltered nature of
Mm.
early reality TV. Obviously, that does open the door for a lot of nasty shit to happen as well. But I do think that there is a way to sort of like return if we just get players that have a certain ideology about the game where they're just not afraid to do what it is that they want. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know, I kind of hate to say it, but maybe slashing this prize money in half so that people are more inclined. I mean, granted, if the prize money for Big Brother was $250,000, that's still life-changing money for a lot of people, quite frankly. But I feel like maybe people are a little less cagey, if the prize money is lowered, because then you're like, okay, well, maybe you're a little bit more willing to make these moves, like do things that you think are going to truly influence your game, and getting rid of these and putting twists in the game that do influence
Yes.
less static play. Like, don't
Mhm.
make it harder for big alliances to take control. Like,
I agree. I agree with that. I mean, I don't know if people are motivated by. I think a lot of people they cast on BBUS are motivated by influencing and being.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's.
ultimately more money, right? So it's like,
Yeah, I guess it is that, but I think they're also worried about their image, and they also don't know the game that well. So then they're not.
if you're not, see, to me, if you're not racist, if you're not homophobic, if you're not sexist, which, to be quite honest about society, all of us have those things within us, because it's impossible for you not to, because you've been born in this world, in this society. But as long as it's not an overt like nastiness to it, you should be fine. I'm not like, am I going to be judging someone that says something mean about somebody on the feed, say, oh, that was not a nice thing to say. But as long as it doesn't have anything to do with their race or like who they are as a person, I don't care. Like, and stop coming on. You don't need to come on to these shows to be perfect people. We're not asking for you to be somebody that's nice to everybody and doesn't want to hurt anybody. No, hurt somebody's feelings. It's a game for $500,000. It's not going to be pretty all the time.
Yeah,
I am much more compelled by that kind of stuff because it's game related, as opposed to being like, I just feel like I can't say anything. Like, no, fuck that.
Yes, kill them.
In any world, is a Tucker type of player kind of what you're looking for?
Yes.
Yes,
Tucker was
type
great.
player. Yes.
Angela.
More
Angela.
Angelas.
Yeah.
More cracked old people. More Tuckers.
I think they need more of a diversity of cast members, not just racially, but also like, we don't need all of, like, we're not ready for all these people that are single and ready to mingle. We don't need a showmance every time. Make it organic. And, early Big Brother 2 was not a diverse cast in terms of racial stuff, but it was like people that were like randomly in all walks of life. And I think that is kind of interesting. But I think that they're very focused on like a particular brand for Big Brother now. And
sure.
I don't know.
Cast impulsive people.
Yes.
Y'all be seeing these. Y'all do all these psych tests on these people. You know which people can't control themselves. Cast those.
I mean, those are the people they're most afraid of right now, because they're going to get some headline on TMZ within days. So that's probably the concern. But
wait, did Angela or Tucker get a TMZ thing?
They did. Angela did, I think.
I
and it wasn't, if memory serves, it wasn't anything like that insane. It was just like a headline of something that happened in the house.
I got a happy birthday cameo from Angela, and she didn't even wish me happy birthday in it, but it was still.
She didn't even wish you happy birthday.
It was a birthday cameo, but it didn't mention happy birthday, which was so Angela. It was the best.
She just probably talked some charcuterie and called it a day.
Well, she knew who I was, and I was like, "Oh my god, Angela, that's crazy."
I still can't get that TikTok that people found as she was in the house, where she's like, "Of course I'm afraid."
Of course I'm a what?
She said there was some kind of trend going on TikTok at the time saying, you would say, "Of course I'm a this," and then you would give some comedic reason as to why you're this. Or it's like, so hers was like, of course I'm a big fucking slut because my mother is in the nursing home with pubes in her dentures. I was like, what?
Maybe I don't remember this specific TikTok.
She is
Jeez
a
Louise.
cracked person. Okay, that is the type of people that we need to have on these shows.
Insane.
And then you mix in your people that are you're a little bit more like strategically focused, and you know, like that's fine. It's just
Truly incredible.
Angela
I don't want
Murray.
super fans that want to come on the show and play a perfect game. I don't need people that are trying to become like the next, like, you know, Tyler Crispin, like, because you're never going to be the next anything. It's never going to happen. Just go in there and just be who you are and just like have a good time, have fun. Okay.
Yeah. Nominate someone, take them off with the veto. That's what we wanted.
Angela Murray is in round 2 of this very podcast, so
I can't wait.
we'll talk about her again. All right. Well, Omar, thank you very much for joining us today. Anywhere you want people to be finding you online?
I guess. I mean, I'm on Instagram, Zaheer24, Blue Sky. I don't remember my handle, but I'm sure it's easy to find.
Omar.
And Twitter, but like I'm not really. I feel like I'm really offline these days, so I don't really know what's going
Good
on.
for you. Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
We could all learn a little
way to
thing or
be.
two from that.
I am
but
watching the Fall of the House of Usher on Netflix, and I think that it's so crazy.
Did a new season come out, or are you watching?
Just watching the original one
because
I hadn't seen it.
Heard a lot about it. Don't think I watched it.
Yeah, pretty good.
All right. Well, check out Omar's socials if you want to hear potentially see some of his thoughts there. And you can of course always watch him be chaotic as hell on some Twitch streams on a Saturday or a Sunday. So check those out too. But Omar, thank you again. We will be back, of course, next week with another episode of The Diary Room. I'm on do a little Patreon plug. No patron votes came up in today's episode, but if anybody wants to cast a vote, patreon.com/The Diary Room, plus all the other things we got over there.
Make sure that you make your voices heard. You can join our little community where we, chat about what's been going on with the show, all the, behind the scenes stuff. You get early access to a few episodes here and there, and side episodes and news on who is going to be coming up on the show. So if that at all is sounding appealing to you, make sure that you check us out over on Patreon for sure.
Early access and ad free. Can't get better than that.
Early access and ad free. Yep. You got
check that out.
Audio versions and video versions, both there. So
exactly. And all of our socials are in the episode descriptions. If you're looking for us on a Twitter, a Blue Sky, YouTube, all that, well, you're probably here on YouTube. If you're looking in the podcast feed, wherever you're looking for us, we are there. And just look for those links below. So that'll do it for today. Thank you again, Omar. Amon, close us out.
Yes, our thanks to Omar once again. And until next time, guys, please go. Good night.